Hey everybody, welcome. Welcome. I'm just laughing. It was one of my cats. She was coming to be right in my face, of course, exactly when I was going to start the stream. So I'm like trying to get her off the bed, and she's like latched onto the bed, trying to hold on. So it was actually pretty funny. So, but she's not on the bed. So anyway, I hope everybody's doing well. Welcome, welcome. So we're going to be talking about the climate change summit and everything leading up to that, and what's going on with that whole situation and everything with that in a few minutes here when we get started. Got a couple other topics that I want to speak about as well. So we will get into those as we go along as well. Okay. And anyway, so that is what is going on. And I gotta be honest with you. I completely forgot to do the random generator thing for the people that won, from people not in the United States. So I'm going to have to wait, and I'm going to have to do that tomorrow in tomorrow's video. So I want to apologize ahead of time on that one. I completely blanked out. I was actually, in my defense, I was watching the Cowboy game, which they won, so I'm really happy about that. So I was kind of focused in on watching the Cowboys play today. So they finally freaking won, which is nice to see. So I apologize for anybody. So there won't be any drawing tonight for the giveaway. I will do that tomorrow. So when I do my video tomorrow, I know, sorry JJ, but you're not overseas anyway. You're in the U.S. So what do you care? No, I'm only kidding. But anyway, so I will do that tomorrow. So I will announce those winners tomorrow. Okay. So again, sorry about that, guys. All right. So I want to remind everybody that this is a very family-friendly oriented channel. So please be decent to each other in the chat, and to me, of course. If you're not, my moderators who are lit up in blue, who are awesome. I'm in a goofy mood. I don't know why, but I am. So my moderators who are lit up in blue are going to boot you out of here. So anyway, so that's. Oh, JJ, you were talking about the Cowboys? Okay. Yeah, but they won, so I was happy. Really happy. Actually, they freaking ran the ball, which was nice to see. I didn't even want to get into it, but they can still win the division. If they beat Philadelphia, I think they play Philadelphia next week in Philadelphia. That's the division right there. If they win it, they won the division. And they could win the division with an 8-8 record, which is kind of scary because that's pretty horrible. They're actually a good team if they would pull their heads out of their behinds. But they played well today. So anyhow, so I digress. Oh my gosh. All right, so as you guys know, I talked about it in an earlier video today. I put my vehicle in the ditch yesterday, and then somebody says, well, it's not a surprise the way you said you drive like a maniac. Well, it was really crappy conditions. I was driving very slow because of those crappy conditions, and that's how that happened. But realistically, that can change your life in a heartbeat. If it was, for me, I was very, very lucky. And I'm not going to, lie. I'll admit I was very, very lucky. Where it could have been a really bad situation if another car had been coming the other way and I got hit by that car. I mean, it could have gone a lot of ways. That could have gone really, really bad. And the worst part was I didn't have to go out. I wanted to. And I always drive in the snow. I've done it my whole life. It's not a big deal. But it just shows you how fast things can change just like that. If, somebody else is coming around that corner, anything. So very, very, scary. And I said some bad words. And, but we're, we got through it, and we got through it. So, but anyway, so let's get into the topic of the video. We're talking about the Climate Change Summit, and they actually ran 2 days longer than they were supposed to with the Climate Change Summit, right? And what did they accomplish? Absolutely nothing. You had, I got to tell you guys, it amazes me, this whole thing. So a lot of younger people are caught up in this whole, oh my God, the world is going to end if we don't do something. And, we got to do something. We got to have zero emissions by, 2050. It's never going to happen. I'm telling you that right now. First of all, so I'm going to give you some statistics. Okay. We're going to do China, India, and the United States. So since 2000, okay, or is it 2000? No, 2010. Okay, I think it was since 2010. So since 2010, China's emissions are up, I think it's 185%. Okay, greenhouse gases, whatever you want to call it, the emissions out, it's up 185%. India is up 175%. Okay, so you're talking huge increase. The United States is minus 10% of what their greenhouse gas output was in that same period of time. So the United States has actually done stuff to mitigate, our carbon footprint, if you will. But a lot of those other countries sure haven't, and they got a lot more people than we do. So, again, there's a lot of games going on. They always want to point the fingers at the U.S., but in reality, we have done more than our part to lower what we've been putting out, and we've done that already. But here's the thing, and I want to talk about this for an example. And these numbers don't lie, guys, okay? These numbers will never lie. They did core samples up in Antarctica, okay? Or down in Antarctica or wherever, either the North Pole, I think it was the South Pole they did it. They did core samples, and they went down, and every, gives you how many years or whatever and stuff like that. Well, a couple thousand years ago, the temperature was 2 degrees Celsius warmer than it is right now, okay? So 2 degrees Celsius is 3.6 degrees Fahrenheit. I had to look it up because I didn't know, so I will be honest with that. So the planet was that much warmer overall at that point, okay? You go back to when the dinosaurs were here, the planet was a lot warmer. The whole planet was a tropical planet at that point. So, things are cyclical. The planet changes. It gets warmer. It gets hotter. We literally, and I'm going to use this term, but we're like a fart in the wind. We are insignificant in the history of time. We haven't been here that long to be so arrogant to think that we make such a huge difference of what's being put out there, and especially with the whole cow thing, which makes me crazy as well. No, stay down. You're a good girl. I know, but I know. All right. Oh, you want to be on camera? Okay, come here. Oh, God, this cat is fat. All right. So here's Miss Bell Bell. This is Heather's cat. You say hi, Bell Bell? You say hi to everybody? She's actually a good cat. Very fat, but she's a good cat. What are you doing? No, you're not going up there. I don't want you up there. No, go. Sorry. Anyway, then she goes up anyway. All right, we'll go lay down then. Get on there. That's a good spot. So anyhow, so these core samples are basically showing the planet goes through cycles. It goes through cooling cycles. It goes through warming cycles. Now, don't get me wrong. Are we poisoning this planet? Absolutely. No, hold on, guys. Hold on. Belle, come on. No, I don't care. I know, but not right now. All right, sorry about that. Now she can't come in and close the door. She hasn't been up my butt at all. I mean, like at all for a week. And today she decides she wants to be up my behind. But anyway, so, like I said, the planet's going in these cycles. And to think that we're having such huge impact on the planet as far as temperature change, it's so naive. It's absolutely naive. And it's the biggest hoax. I mean, remember what Al Gore said? That by 2000, what did he say? It was 2012 or something? Can't remember what he said, what year it was. He said that there would be no more ice on the ice caps anymore. Whatever it was like 10 years from when, I think it might have been like 2016 or something. I can't remember exactly what he said. If you guys know exactly what the year was that he said that, because I know he had said it was like in 10 years there'll be no more ice on the ice caps. Well, guess what? There still is. Okay, so let's talk about emissions of stuff. Talk about putting stuff out into the atmosphere and causing problems. I think you guys should all those people that are protesting about climate change and all this type of stuff, they need to go up to the volcanoes and talk to the volcanoes, because they are putting out excessively too much stuff into the upper atmosphere. So you're going to have to talk to them. I think we should protest volcanoes. Gore made $100 million from this game. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he says it every 10 years. Exactly. Well, it was 2014. Okay, thank you, small town. Thank you very much for it. Yeah, so he said by 2014 there would be no more ice on the ice caps. Okay. Climate change is a big scam, just trying to scare us into buying the planet. I'm not buying that the planet goes in cycles. Exactly. Thank you, Vincent. Vincent, the Prince Koch. I should change your name. Okay, now you're the Prince. All right, cool. So anyway, but thank you very much for that donation as well. But yeah, you know what I'm saying. What it is, they're trying to scare us into a couple things. Okay, a couple things. And what kills me, a lot of these people do not understand is you are begging them to tax you on a carbon tax. So how do you think about that for a second? Oh, please tax me on something you're going to do absolutely nothing about, but tax me on it. I'll give up more of my money. I mean, really? So they want to do that, and again, it's all control. So now if I say to you, okay, well, hey, you know what? Wood stoves are bad now. You can't have a wood stove anymore. You have to get your way to heat your home through us. Wow, imagine that. You can't be independent. Again, do you understand what I'm saying? This is a huge scam. It's unbelievable, and I cannot believe so many people are falling for it. I really, truly cannot. But like I said, if you look at those core samples, that shows you proof that the planet goes in cycles. They're not going to lie. Core samples are not going to lie. They're going to say it was warmer here, it was colder there, and that's what they do. That's what the core samples are going to do. So again, yep, the Earth changes equals climate changes. Exactly, Wolfgang. Exactly. This planet goes in cycles. We have warmer periods. We have colder periods. What happens? Okay, so here's what I think is kind of funny. If you think about it in this context, we have all these super volcanoes in the world. Okay, so let's just speculate and say Yellowstone goes off, which it will eventually. We all know that it's a matter of time, and Yellowstone is going to go. Okay, now that's one we have zero control over. When that happens, if it's a major event with Yellowstone, let's say it's the worst case scenario, Yellowstone erupts and it's the absolute worst case scenario. Okay, that's going to put us into a volcanic winter for at least 10 years because it's going to put so much stuff up into the upper atmosphere, okay, that it's going to block out the sun and it's going to cool the planet. Then what are they going to do? Oh, that's terrible. What are we going to do then? Then the planet's going to be much colder, and it's going to be that way until those clear out, which could take up to 10 years. Okay, so think about that. Think about how bad, and that's not something. Okay, so the United States would be pretty much decimated, but within inside of a 6-week period, the rest of the world would start to feel the effects of that major super volcano going off because of all the stuff into the upper atmosphere. It would start blocking out the sunlight. Within inside of 6 weeks, plant life would start to die off. As plant life dies off, so does the game because now they don't have anything to eat, and it's a vicious cycle. And then it gets tough. Then it gets really, really tough. Think about how bad it would be trying to survive in those type of days. Okay, but again, will that happen? It absolutely. That's one thing that's guaranteed. It will happen at some point. When? We don't know. Okay, but when that happens, that's a planet changer, guys. Okay, so to think that there's the thing that they just held in Madrid. Okay. And it went 2 days longer. The summit went that it did. And basically they agreed on they need to get it down to zero emissions by 2050. So 30 years. Okay. It's not going to happen. Not everybody's going to comply. Not everybody's going to do it. I mean, it's a freaking joke. The whole thing is a freaking joke. Let me see. Okay. So Poland, who was not in the accord. Okay. They exempted out of it. Poland basically is using coal for power. That's what they use. So they're putting out a lot of emissions with coal, obviously. Okay. So they were not in part of that. They were not, part of that. So it's nuts. I mean, so planets that are, or countries that are in low-lying areas that are so afraid of, everything's melting and it's going to raise the water temperatures and everything's going to be underwater. They want something done. And then, your big countries like the U.S., China, Russia, and that type of stuff. I don't even know how to say your name, but thank you very much for that donation. I appreciate that. But again, we don't have any kind of control over that. There's nothing we're going to be able to do over that. So, like I said, it's like, try to live your life as much as you possibly can. What type of wood are you burning? Mr. Rose asks. Basically, hardwoods. I do not burn any pine in my house. Pine I use for outside fires only, because we have plenty of hardwoods here. 100 yen or yuan, Robert Blakemore said. I'm not even sure what that was. Hold on a second, Robert. Let me look. I'm not sure. I have no idea. So, Japanese, I think so. So yen, possibly. So I'm not sure, but I don't know what you're saying because it's coming up, in another language. So, but thank you very much for that donation. I appreciate that. But this again. So if the water was to rise to a significant level, that's going to be the cycle that happens, and so that there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it. I watched a guy. And it was so funny, and oh my God, he flipped out on this lady, and he was like swearing in the whole 9 yards. It was a trip, but he was one of those guys that was talking. And the lady was like, "What are you rich people going to do? I have children and blah blah blah." And so he basically explained it in a way which I thought was really really interesting. The banks are giving out 30-year mortgages, right? 20, 20, 15, 20, and 30-year mortgages. Okay, and he said they're along the coast. Those things are booming. And if the power elite truly thought there was going to be climate change to a degree like they're trying to say that there is, he was saying that they wouldn't give out those mortgages. They wouldn't do it. So he said it's a farce. The whole thing is a farce. So, again, should we try to live away and not be so wasteful? I absolutely think that we should. Okay. If we can make ourselves have a smaller footprint, I think that that's a good thing. If we could go more green, I think that would be a good thing. I'm very green here, as you guys know. I have my own solar system, and that's what I've been doing for my power since I've been up here. So, I'm going this June started my 5th year living here full time. So, and I have not been on grid ever since we moved up here. And so, it's just, those are things that you have to look at. You want to try to do things for yourself. Again, like I said, if you can, like with growing your own crops and stuff like that, go back to that kind of a lifestyle. It's a lot better for you, number one. It's a lot less stressful, number two. So, oh, Robert Blakemore, that's funny. That's it for my Japanese. Yeah, I hear you. That's about it for mine, too. Climate change is happening. They're just profiting from it. Well, the climate's going to change no matter what. You're going to go through periods, you're going to go through periods of cold. You're going to go through periods of hot. I mean, when the little ice age came, they didn't expect that to happen when it did, but it happened. And I can't remember how long that lasted, but it affected a lot of stuff. Plant a tree for every tree taken down. And there's nothing wrong with that either. There's nothing wrong with doing that. I think it's a good thing, Hey, Sherry, we love you, Ed. Thank you, Ed. You're very welcome, and thank you. And I love you guys too. You have no idea how awesome, being able to have this platform and being able to connect with people and talk with people and share thoughts and stuff like that. I think that it's absolutely awesome. It's a great way to interact with people and to talk about different things and stuff like that. I think it's very, very cool. So, let's see. But is burning wood green? Well, okay, so let's talk about that for a second. Trees die all the time, okay? You have to clear out a lot of times in a forest. You got to clear out some of your older trees so your younger trees can do better. So yeah, actually, it's managing your woods properly. Okay, so you don't have a huge overgrown area, and the bigger, older trees are choking out the smaller trees and giving them a chance. So actually, yeah, burning wood is definitely green, especially if you are going into the woods and cutting down a lot of older dead trees. And there's trees standing dead all the time, all over the place. I got one in front of the house right now that I definitely need to address at some point. But Yeah, burning biomass is as green as it gets. Yeah, exactly. So that is absolutely green. And, it's, I'm not, burning oil that's having all kinds of bad stuff. I mean, it's a natural thing. It's an absolutely natural thing. And then you take that wood ash and that can be utilized for a lot of different things, which is also very good. Let's see. Our carbon emissions may be what is saving us from a mini ice age now. Yeah, you know what? It might be. You just never know. You never know. I don't speak different languages. I can barely speak English. There you go, Choo Choo. Hey, Choo Choo, after the show is over with, I want you to give me a call, please. Okay? You got my number. Give me a holler when the show is done. Okay? Australia here is sending us some of your snow, please. So freaking hot. I know you guys are in your summer right now. I know that. And I know you guys are getting pounded with that crazy temperatures out there. That's crazy how hot that is. Yeah, okay, the Little Ice Age lasted from 1300 AD until 1870. Okay, all right. Well, thank you. Thank you, Al, for saying that. So it was a long period. So obviously, it has gotten warmer since then, and we've had a warm period and stuff like that. Again, right now, we're actually entering another cooler period. And that they don't want to tell you because that doesn't fit the agenda. Well, that used to be, remember, it was global warming. Okay, it was global warming for a long, long time, and they recently just changed the terminology to climate change because they know, the powers that be know, that it's getting colder. It's gradually getting cold, and you're going to see a lot of weird fluctuations in the weather, and a lot of stuff plays into it. But the sun is basically the one that's going to dictate how warm or how cold we're going to be. If you're not getting those sunspots and you're not having a lot of that stuff going on, right now the sun is in a very quiet period, and that's what happens. So they just want to take our money. You're right, Hunter Davis. You're absolutely right. It's all a game to be able to stick their hand in our pocket once again, and that's what they're trying to do. And somebody said Al Gore's made $100 million on it. He absolutely right. He's made a lot of money perpetrating this hoax on people, and people are buying it. A lot of the young people are buying it. You got to understand, kids today are being indoctrinated from a very, very young age in high schools. You have, there is an agenda. Don't get me wrong. You look at all of the young people now that are for communism. It is amazing to me, or socialism. It just, in the long run, that doesn't work. Capitalism is, capitalism has its flaws. It absolutely does. But anybody, if they put in the effort in capitalistic society, can get ahead. If you're willing to put in the effort and the work, you look at all the stories, guys. If you go and you look at the different stories of people that have come up from nothing, and have done great things, it wasn't because it was handed to them. It was because they worked hard and they had the initiative to make it happen. So, but so there's a couple things that I wanted to bring up. And one of them was, I just saw this recently, and this was actually, to me, was really disturbing. And how the press handled it really pisses me off too, to be honest with you, because if it had been reversed, it would have been over every paper and everywhere. It's a video that went viral, and I'm sure some of you are going to know exactly what I'm talking about. Young kid, I think he was 14, a little bit heavyset, had worn his Make America Great hat again to school, okay? And he was being harassed at school because he was wearing that hat. So he stopped wearing the hat. And so he continued to be bullied. Now, the number one problem that I have, why didn't the school nip that in the butt once they knew what was going on in the first place? Not to where it got to the point where it ended up getting to, okay? So school dropped the ball, didn't handle that situation as they should have, okay? So this kid continued to be bullied at school. What ended up happening is, anybody that has seen the video, he was attacked on a school bus by 6 other children. Okay. And to the point where he was put into the hospital. And I believe, I'm not 100% sure, I believe they're charging the children with attempted murder because that's how badly they beat this kid. 6-on-1, I don't care how tough you think you are, you better be really, really good. And when you're just a little fat 14-year-old kid, you don't really have much of a chance against 6 people. Okay. It should have been, yeah, that poor boy was beaten. He sure was. And so, first of all, 2 things should have been happening. Should have been classified as a hate crime, because that was a hate crime. Okay. Because the kid was targeted for wearing a Make America Great hat again. Now, part of the fault of this whole thing, I'll be honest with you, is the freaking media. Because they put this crap out there all the time, constantly. We see it all the time, okay? And I'm going to tell you what. So I have my Trump 2020 hat, as you guys know. Anybody that watches the channel knows that I have my Trump 2020 hat. I've worn it locally. I have worn it down to Rochester. Because somebody said, oh, well, you wouldn't wear that in Rochester. Yeah, I did. I wore it in Rochester. And guess what? Not one person said one thing to me. Now, I got some looks. Of course I got some looks, okay? But nobody said a freaking word. Nobody said a word. Because I'm not some weak little kid or an old man that's weak, and they know that. And you got to understand, the people that do these type of things, that go after people, one-on-one, it'll never happen. They'll never do it one-on-one. Again, it's that pack mentality, that mob mentality. And so you see the different attacks on people that have happened. You see some of the other stupid stuff that people do. But, and again, who do they target? They target children or the elderly. They don't go after guys like me that are my size, somebody that's 220, and 6 foot tall and can handle themselves. They don't go after me, so they don't. Now, they might, if they had a crowd of 8 or 10 people, then they'll have the guts to try it. That would be the only time. But one-on-one, forget about it. Never happened. So, but again, these are things that happen all the time. The media is feeding this frenzy, this hatred. Okay. You can believe, and again, my thing is, even if I disagree with what you believe in, you believe whatever you want. I don't care. Hey, Vincent, I hate bullies. I bully bullies. Yeah, there you go. Thank you very much for that donation. Well, I'm going to tell you what. People fall into 3 categories a lot of times, okay? You have bullies. You have basically a lot of times people that are set themselves up to be victims. And then you have people that are protectors. I have always been a protector. I hate bullies. I could never stand bullies. Do you have Antifa in Rochester? I don't know if they do or not. Because I don't live in Rochester anymore. So I'm out of the loop as far as what's going on in Rochester. But yeah, there you go. And that's a great one. Bernard just said, weakness invites aggression. Strength propels aggression. You are absolutely right. If they smell that blood in the water and if they think you're weak, they're going to be on you like white on rice. Okay. If you have, look like you can handle yourself, they don't bother you. They will not bother you. I mean, I've been in a city a lot of times, been out places I probably shouldn't have been, dealing with people I shouldn't have dealt with. But, I've always handled myself in a way, and I carry myself in a certain way. And I'm not the toughest guy. I'm going to tell you right now, am I the toughest guy? No, absolutely not. I'm not. But I ain't going to take nobody's crap either. And I think when you carry yourself that way, people read that, and they would rather go after somebody that's going to take their crap. So that's realistically how it goes most of the time. Guys, I haven't asked yet, so I'm going to go ahead and ask now. If you haven't shot a thumbs up yet, if you would do that, I see we're over 400 people in the chat, and we're at 165 on the thumbs up. So if you would throw a thumbs up there, I would appreciate that, okay? Again, and also, if you are not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Make sure you hit that bell icon and hit all notifications so that you get, you get all the notifications of what's going on. But anyway, so this poor kid is in the hospital and, attacked by 6 other children. Very, very sad situation. And, but again, if it had been, and so obviously, when I said if the shoe was on the other foot. Hey, George Shannon, thank you very much for that donation. I appreciate that. Thank you. If the shoe had been on the other foot, so obviously the kid that was attacked was white. The kids that had attacked him were black kids, okay? If that had been reversed and it had been a black kid being attacked by 6 white kids, it would have been all on every front paper in this country, the NAACP, the UCLA, or ALCU, or whoever they are, all those organizations would go absolutely nuts. But what do you hear out of all those organizations right now? And this is a hate crime, Okay, you hear crickets, you hear nothing. Okay, so again, that's the double standard. I don't like the double standard. If you're going to have a standard, it should be the standard for everybody. It should all be the same. And so that's just the way I feel. That's just the way I feel. But unfortunately, my thoughts go out to the child's family, and I hope them a speedy recovery. But again, I hope they sue the crap out of that school. So here's the other question that I would have. Now, this was on a school bus, right? I believe it was a school bus that he was attacked on. I know it was on a bus. I'm not sure if it was a school bus. But if it was a school bus, and I'm not going to speculate and say that I know that it was when I don't, but let's say it was a school bus. What was the bus driver doing? And why wasn't there a monitor on there to make sure stuff like that didn't happen? Hey, Bill Norwood. Yes, they did. Cowboys kicked butt today. Yes, they did. They actually looked very, very good today. It's about freaking time. God, they've been playing so awfully. So I still have hope. Hey, they get in the playoffs. You never know what can happen once a team gets into the playoffs. They get hot at the right time. If they finish out winning the last two games, go into the playoffs hot, you never know what can happen. Momentum is unbelievable sometimes. Yes, it was on a school bus. Okay, Brent Hill just said, okay. Yeah, so because it was on a school bus, I hope the family sues the crap out of the school, because they already knew that kid was being bullied. And if they didn't protect that kid, and it's not just that kid, it's any kid. Any kid should not have to go to school and worry about being bullied and picked on. No kid should have to deal with that. I don't care what their thing is, why they're being picked on or whatever. And there's so many different things. So many different things that could cause that. And, it's a sad, sad situation. Absolutely sad situation. But it was Dallas fans that attacked it. Now, stop that, Denard. That's not true. Just bad kids, And a lot of that, guys, goes back to parenting. And when you see bad kids, a lot of times, I'm going to tell you what, a lot of times, now bad behavior is one thing, but doing attacks on people, now you can't, as a parent, you can do everything the right way. If they get caught up in that crowd mentality, there's nothing really much you can do about that at that point. But very sad situation. Kids can be awful. Kids can be the worst. They absolutely can be. And I've shared some stories about, when I was a kid and being involved with the crowd mentality and not standing up for that weaker person at that time. And if I could go back and do it all over again, I would have, but unfortunately at the time, you get, you're basically just happy it ain't you, and that's sad, but that's the way it is. Again, yeah, where was the bus driver? And usually a lot of times nowadays they have a monitor on the bus as well. So, why wasn't something done? Yeah, if you build their character when they're young, they'll be okay. But again, choices that kids make, people that they hang out with, people, places, and things. I talk about that a lot as well. So people that you're hanging out with, the things that you're doing, and the places that you are. If you're in the wrong place at the right time with the wrong people, you get yourself jammed up. You could be in a lot of trouble. And you could have been a good kid and just made a mistake. Mistakes happen. Obviously, this wasn't a mistake. This was just a horrible, horrible situation. So, it's... as a parent, what would I have done if that had been my child? Oh, man. Well, first of all, when my child came to me the first time and told me they were being bullied because they wore a Make America Great hat again and the bullying was continuing at school, we'd have gone down and had a visit to the school and gotten some stuff squared away, because my child would have been telling me who it was that was bullying him. And then we would have resolved it. It would have never gotten to that situation what it got to. Because those type of things, you got to nip it in the butt as soon as you get wind of it. That's what you got to do. So a lot of schools put cameras on buses. Yeah, but that doesn't do any good when somebody's getting their butt kicked. That don't help at all. Cameras don't help. All that does, that helps in court later when the kids try to lie and say it was something different than what it was. That's all that does. But they had all this. They had kids videotaping it. I taught my boys to fight and when to do it. I'm going to tell you what, I've talked about this before. I told my daughter when she was in school, I said, if you were in a situation and you feel like somebody may try to hurt you, I said, you hurt them first. A bully don't like somebody that fights back. Okay, so if you stand up for yourself, that usually takes care of those type of situations. But I always told her, you defend yourself. I go, don't be a victim. So it's crazy. But again, like I said, if that had been my child, it never would have got to that point, because we would have been down to that school raising Cain way before that happened. I mean, they even said the kid had bruises on his arms and stuff like that from being bullied before this final incident happened. So never should have got to that point. Never should have got there. And you know what? In the lip service sometimes that these schools say, I would say to them, unless you want your butt sued, and that's what's going to happen. And I hope they sue them, and I hope they get a huge, huge settlement. Yeah, paint the fence. Exactly. Nowadays, that makes our kids the problems. I know what you're saying, Mr. Rose, but I looked at it like this. I would rather be the parent having to go there because my kid put a whoop butt on somebody else, instead of having to be there as the parent that my kid got whipped on. And if the other kid was the aggressor and other people would verify that they were starting crap, and my kid tried to walk away from it and they wouldn't let them, and they had to do what they had to do, I support my kid all day long. I actually tell them they did a good job. Would never reprimand them for that. I don't care what the school said. But that's just me. I'm very, very old school. We should have respect for each other. You're right, Richard. We should. Unfortunately, that's not the way it is anymore. A lot of these parents, they think their kids can do no wrong. And I'm going to tell you what. I would have not had any kind of problem at any point in time if my kid stepped out of line to go into that classroom and embarrass the crap out of her in front of her whole class. But here's the difference, okay? My kid, and I was very, very fortunate, but I think a lot of it comes down to parenting as well. Heather was in all the smart classes, as you guys know, okay? She was always in all the smart classes. So those kids in all the smart classes were all the brainiacs. They all had a tendency to be good kids. And they all just kind of hung together because they were in the same classes all the time. They weren't exposed to a lot of this other nonsense. So, that makes a difference too. And, from basically 8th grade on, because it's in 8th grade, they really separate them. Okay. So your brainiac kids are all in this higher level echelon, and the rest of them are over here. I think I've shared this story too. Okay. So here was 8th grade. There was in 8th grade, and it was all the same kids. It was about, this was when we were still living in Greece, New York. In the school, it was like 30 kids. All of them were the smartest kids. All of them were basically in the same classes, class after class. It was the same group of kids because they were all the advanced kids, okay? Well, what happened was they had the parent-teachers conference day. So, of course, obviously I was there. Myself and maybe 10 other parents out of 30, okay? And I thought to myself, here you have these children that are brilliant, brilliantly smart kids. Now, it was in the evening, so maybe, one parent couldn't get there or whatever and stuff like that. But I would have thought that it would have been a bigger turnout of those type of parents for your advanced kids. I don't know what the other kids who showed up for the other ones or stuff like that. But it was like as we went from classroom to classroom, it was the same parents over and over and over again. But it was just, because we had those kids. But, and I'm blessed. I mean, my kid is a smart kid. Eddie's a smart kid as well, obviously. But she always did well, and studies were very important to her. So, we got somebody's doing some racism, guys. They're saying Tyler Stern. I missed. The school's getting sued. Jail the black law. Well, it doesn't always. We don't have to. Okay, so don't ban Tyler for that. But I'm going to tell you what, Tyler, realistically, okay, it's not just because the kids were black, okay? I hate, and I didn't even want to really bring that up, but because I wanted to make my point, if the shoe had been on the other foot, that the circumstances of this would have been different. But the thing is, bad kids are bad kids. There's white kids that are bad. There's black kids that are bad. The kids that did this definitely need to be punished. There's absolutely no doubt about that. They need to be held responsible for what they did. Again, I believe they're being charged with attempted murder, but they should also, in my opinion, be charged with a hate crime because they would not because the kid was white, okay? Not because he was white and they were black. They should be charged with a hate crime because they targeted him because of the fact that he wore a hat, a certain type of hat that they did not agree with. That's why it's a hate crime. It was not deemed a hate crime. Oh, I know it wasn't, Darnell. No, I know it wasn't deemed a hate crime. I'm saying it should have been. Okay, it should have been deemed a hate crime. So, again, like I said, you're going to have things happen from all races doing stupid stuff to each other. Okay, and a lot of times it happens because somebody's white or somebody's black or whatever. Okay, that's sad and it's pathetic that people will use that as an excuse to vent whatever anger they have. If they, well, here's the thing: is what I think people really truly don't understand. If they took that anger that they have for whatever perceived injustice they've received in their life, okay, which you can do absolutely nothing about as far as how you feel about that type of situation. But if you could take that anger and turn it into something positive and make it positive and do something with that energy that you've been wasting on negativity, you'd be amazed what you can accomplish. And I talk about that a lot. I really, truly do, because I really, truly believe that that is true. Hate hurts the person who hates. That's who it hurts. And when they lash out and they hurt somebody else because of the way that they look or the way that they act or their sexual orientation or their religion or their political beliefs, it doesn't make it go away. They're all filled up with hate still. And it's sad because it accomplishes nothing. Turn the frown upside down. That's right, Bill Norwood. That's right. Yep, depressing their parents, Yep. So, like I said, we need to be decent people is what we need to try to do, all of us, regardless of what our backgrounds are, where we come from. And if you want to change your circumstances or your situation, and I've talked about this a lot, the only one that can do it is you. That's it. If you're waiting for somebody else to magically say, oh, here you go, I'm going to give you this just because as far as let's say, okay, here's a job, I'm going to give you this job just because you're poor. That ain't going to happen. Okay, you got to earn it like anything else. And if you want to get out of a situation or a bad situation, get out of it. And I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of people will bury their pain in drugs and alcohol. Okay, a lot of people will do that, and I'm not talking marijuana. So please don't, all you marijuana smokers, it's not about marijuana. Okay, all marijuana does is make you dumb and sit on the couch. Okay, but I'm talking about your hardcore drugs, your meth, your crack, your heroin, all those type of things. You're in alcohol. A lot of people will turn to that to kill their feelings because they don't want to feel. Well, you got to deal with those things. You got to get through it. Life is pain. There's going to be pain in life. And it's how you deal with that pain that defines who you end up being. Because all you do when you turn to drugs and alcohol when you're in pain, you're causing more pain. You're causing more problems. And it doesn't help anything. It really, truly doesn't. So, THJS just goes out to the girl that broke my heart. Yeah. Well, I got a couple of them that broke my heart too. But, it's that, unfortunately, that is part of life. And those are lessons. I'm going to tell you what, nothing is more awesome than being in love. I will say that. I've been there a few times. Absolutely head over heels, completely in love, just like, there's nothing like that. That is awesome. And it's a great, great feeling. And, when things go bad and they don't go well, nothing hurts more. Getting your heart broke, that's not a fun thing, but it's part of life. And it's a lesson that you got to learn, and you deal with it and you have to go on. And, there's a funny thing that they say, time heals everything. And it really, really does. It's a shame you can't express your views without being attacked. Well, you're right. It is. And it's sad. But again, that's perpetuated hugely by the media today. Everything is politically correct. You have to be politically correct about everything. You have to watch what you say, or you're offending this one, that one, or the other thing. You are not entitled to your own opinion. You better conform to the opinions of everybody else, which is crap. And, Climate change. If the world floods, how long until PN1 needs an arc? Oh, it'd be a while because I'm pretty high up there. So the water would have to be really, really high. So for me to need an arc up here, that's why I picked high elevation. I'm telling you what, high elevation is key. Talk about that a lot too. High elevation is very, very important. Yeah, guys, if you haven't, I've only asked once so far, so I'm going to go ahead and ask again. If you haven't hit that thumbs up button again, if you would do that, that would be great, and I would appreciate that. That would be awesome. The child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down and feel its warmth. The African proverb. That's a very cool proverb, and you're right. When people are not feeling loved and not cared for, they have a tendency to lash out and be bitter. There's a lot of them out there, So what would I do if Yellowstone goes off? Yellowstone goes off, I still have a window of time. So what I would focus on absolutely right away is getting something underground ASAP. Something underground as quickly as I possibly could, and try to get as much of my stuff and things and people squared away and get underground as quickly as I possibly could. Here in New York, we're quite a ways away from Yellowstone, but they're saying from a huge eruption, we would still probably get an inch of ash here. Okay. So again, that would not be that bad, but with what comes afterwards is what's bad. You got about 6 weeks is your window once Yellowstone goes off, and that's worldwide. So we wouldn't probably have 6 weeks here because of being as close as, even though we're not super close, we're still in the continental United States, so it would be still bad. But and the prevailing winds generally go from west to east, so it would blow this way first. Now, if it went above us or below us, that's all we would have to hope. But again, it would be a very short period of time. Yep. 6 weeks of Ice Age begins with Yellowstone. Yep. So you would have to try to get as organized and as squared away as you possibly could, get dug in, and be as ready as you possibly can with it. And then you got to understand too, in that 6 week period of time, people are going to be losing their freaking minds. I mean, losing their minds. And you think about all the people that would be dead out west because of a Yellowstone event. It would be bad, guys. It would be immediate martial law. Things would be locked down. And again, what I think at that point, then you're talking about getting your people together, getting as organized as you possibly can be, and get as much stuff underground as you possibly can, because it's going to get cold, and it's going to stay cold for a very, very long time. So that's what I would do. Europe would go offline in 3 to 4 weeks. Yeah, it wouldn't be very long. Like I said, it would affect the entire world. It would absolutely affect the entire world. And those are things that we have zero control over, none. So, depends on the wind direction is how much ash. Exactly. And depends on if it's going higher or lower at the time when it would go off. So, if Yellowstone goes off, head as close to the equator as possible. It would definitely be warmer down there. But like I said, I would dig in here and try to ride it out as long as I possibly could. You got to understand the panic and the chaos that would ensue with that. The longer you can stay put and have your stuff and try to survive as long as you possibly can, the better it's going to be for you and your group. And then at that point, let's say 3 years down the road, now you head south, okay? You're not going to run into as many people as you would think, because most of them would be gone. So that would be the time to head south then, years after the event. If you could ride out those first couple of years, it would flat out suck, guys. I mean, that would be a very, very bad situation. I hope it never happens in my lifetime. Yeah, the land won't produce any food. You're right, it wouldn't. There would be nothing. All your game would be gone. There'd be no trees, no nothing. It would be very, very bad for a long, long time. And if with the ash, and initially with the ash, you don't want to be breathing that in. Because it's fine glass particles, and that'll get into your lungs and carve it up, and you drown in your own fluids. So, have I ever watched The Road? I did. Very, very good movie. Very, very realistic movie, and how things would be, and it would be that bad. I think it would be that bad. I absolutely do. So, And if you ever had to come south, you could pinch a tent in my backyard. Well, thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Yeah, like I said. Hopefully, I don't have to. I like my position where I'm at. The weather definitely helps, especially in an SHTF event. The weather's to my advantage up here, especially like I said, with now getting the greenhouse going, and once I have that up and running, that's going to make a huge difference as well of what I can do and what I can accomplish. Let's see. You didn't watch the road today? No, I did not. That was yesterday, actually. I didn't even go anywhere today. I just stayed home. Had a low key day. Very low key day today. Well, Heather's done on Wednesday. She has a test Monday, and then she has another test on Wednesday. So, yeah, volcanic eruptions is why I always tell people to have good respirators and tons of filters. It's a very good advice. Very, very good advice. And that's the amazing drop that just said that. No, that's definitely very good advice. And it's not a bad thing to have in case of a gas attack either. Tear gas or anything like that, having a good ventilator, a good mask with plenty of filters, very good thing to have. What do I think about Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030? I definitely think that there's an agenda out there to decrease the population. How they go about it will be interesting to see. I think that there's definitely things that they're doing with the inoculations, sterilizations and all kinds of stuff. I've read a lot of different things, and filters would only last an hour if you're lucky in a heavy ash plume. No, you're right. And it wouldn't last long, but at least it would give you that opportunity to button things up outside if you had to, so that none of that ash was getting into your house and those type of things. It gives you that opportunity to take care of things if you can. So you don't want to be out there hiking around and doing all kinds of stuff. You don't want to be out there like that if that type of situation anyway. So, ash would eat the roof of the greenhouse. Well, that ash wouldn't be hot by the time it got here, because it would be traveling. It would be cooled off by the time it got here, but it builds up. So, but where we're at, we're very lucky as far as being as far away as I am. We would be looking at in a major eruption, we would be looking at about an inch of ash here. And again, that would depend on the wind and where it went. If the winds were 50 miles north of us, we would probably get very little. If they were right on top of us, we would probably get that inch. So again, you just don't know. Yeah, ash from a volcano when it's heavy and wet is the worst, right? Because it turns into concrete. It will collapse buildings, the whole 9 yards. It's a bad thing. It's not a good thing at all. Yeah, unfortunately, underground is better. You're right. In that type of situation, if a major volcano goes off, you better get something underground as soon as you possibly can. Again, it's my goal next year to work on getting a root cellar in, and I'm talking a big one that I can turn part of it into a freezer and stuff like that as well. So that's part of my game plan that I'm going to be doing next year, and we'll see how that goes. But I definitely, and then slash bomb shelter, if you will, and have that in case of that type of an emergency. It's just smart to have options, and having options is the way to go. Plan for many things. You can't just plan for one thing, because if you plan for one thing and something totally different happens and it's a different scenario, a bomb shelter, root cellar type of situation can be used for many different types of events. So, good thing to have, very smart to have, in place. So. Yeah, an NBC filtration system, and yeah, that's not cheap to do that either, but yeah. So anyway, so it's just that is kind of the craziness of that. So I've got to do this at this point because we're at that point. So what do we got? 280 and a thumbs up, guys. So I'm going to ask for another thumbs up first. So if you haven't done so yet, please do. I'm going to talk about We Are Legion, because we are many. All right, we are all over this country, we are all over the world, and we are really, really, there's a lot of us, and if we ever got organized, the power that we could yield would be amazing, really, truly amazing. Um, I picture your root cellar like Winnie the Pooh's house stuffed with honey. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I plan on having all kinds of stuff underground at that point. And yeah, I plan on having it big enough that it's going to be worthwhile to have under there. But anyway, so we are Legion, guys, and everybody's already jumping the gun here, Connecticut and Minnesota. Don't jump the gun. I didn't ask yet. Or Syracuse, New York, Connecticut. I see you guys jumping the gun. All right. Where is everybody from? Because we are Legion. We got to do it now. So where is everybody from? Got a couple of Jun Gumpers there, but that's okay. Because I got distracted, which I always do. North Carolina. Let's see. We got Minnesota, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Princetown, BC, Canada. Let's see. Freezing, Ohio, Texas, Indiana, Mobile, Alabama, Oregon, BC, Canada, Colorado, Oklahoma, Japan, New Zealand, let's see, California, Oklahoma, Missouri, Iowa, North Carolina, Idaho, North Carolina again, Michigan. We got Batavia, New York, Flint, Michigan, Northern Kentucky, Pensacola, Florida, California, Cleveland, Tennessee, Colorado again, Kentucky, Minnesota, Tennessee, Oregon, Arkansas, Missouri, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Wisconsin, Norway, Maryland, Oregon, Ontario, Canada, Nevada, Oshawa, Ontario, Canada, Yellowstone National Park. Well, there you go. Good place to be. Idaho, Minnesota, Union City, Pennsylvania, Simone, Ontario, Canada, Flint, Michigan, South Australia, Liberty Hills, Texas, Northolt Road, United Kingdom, very nice. Southwestern Pennsylvania, Maine, Illinois, Central Indiana, the Netherlands, very nice. Kentucky, let's see, Michigan, Lafayette, Colorado, very nice. So, guys, we're all over the place. And, there's so many of us out here, and it's amazing, realistically, if we truly put our heads together, what we could accomplish. There's the Netherlands, very nice. Manchester, England, I got to say those two because those come up late. Spain, very nice. So anyway, we're all over the place, and we truly can make a difference when the time comes if we want to. And if we got organized now ahead of time and work together, it would be amazing what we could all accomplish. It really would be. And, we could do it if we wanted to. Really could. So, but anyway, I hope everybody, like I said, I hope you had a great weekend. I hope everybody was safe. It's always important to be safe and be, that way. I want to thank, again tonight, all my moderators that come out every time, that are on top of things, that keep the chat clean, which I do appreciate. Ed, you need to hold a meetup in the summer. I plan on doing it again this year. We did it this year in August. I think what I'm going to do this year is going to be in July. This year coming up, I think we're going to do July. So we're definitely going to do another prepper get together. I will give you guys plenty of notice because I'll reserve if I could speak, I'll reserve the pavilion way ahead of time. So as soon as I have that pavilion reserved, what I will do is I will put it out there. I will also put it on my Facebook page for my Prepper Nurse One on Facebook page. I'll put it on my website at preppernurse1.com. And in that way, you guys got plenty of notice when we're going to do it, what the date's going to be and stuff like that. And so I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We had a great time this year when we did the Prepper Get Together. It was absolutely awesome. It was so much fun. And, I can't wait to see what our turnout's going to be for next year. We had a great turnout this year. It was on short notice. I set it up with inside of 6 weeks, and we did it that fast, and we had a great turnout of people. So definitely looking forward to doing it, like I said, in July, probably more towards the end of July, I'm thinking. And so we will see. But I will let you guys know for sure, and we will go from there. So, but great job for a nice, clean chat, Ed and mods. You are all very appreciated. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate that, Sean Wheeler. Well, you know what? And that's the thing is I think it's important to keep it clean. There's no need for nastiness. There really, really isn't. And, different topics need to be talked about. Some topics hurt people's feelings, and I get that, and I understand that. But it still needs to be talked about. So, that's unfortunately, we're always going to have people that are going to disagree, which is fine. And some people, the way that they disagree is through anger and violence, and that's not the answer. If we can have a civil debate, I think it's awesome, and I think that's great. But it's not always the case. So anyway, here at the homestead, it is still snowing. It's been snowing off and on all day. So it's been interesting. But anyway, guys, I appreciate everybody being here tonight. I really, truly do. You guys are awesome. I enjoy chatting with everybody. I appreciate the interaction. I love the comments. You guys, we have very intelligent people watching this channel. And, it's like, and I've said this before, we don't always have to agree on everything. Somebody just put on here, agree to disagree. Exactly. It's about respect. I respect everybody's views to believe whatever they want, and I expect people to respect my views, and, if you don't, that's on you. That's not on me, because I'm going to still respect you, as a human being. So, but, we are all in this together, and I keep saying that, and it's important, but we truly, truly are. Okay. Also remember, guys, to hug and kiss the ones you love. Tell them every single day. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. We never know what's going to happen in life. Life is so short. We never know what's going to happen. So it's important to tell the people that you care about every single day how you feel. Also remember, guys, STD. It's one step at a time, one thing at a time, and one day at a time. Whatever you're trying to do, whatever you are trying to accomplish, you can do it. The only one that's going to stop you from getting there is you. Okay? That's it. Nobody else can stop you. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you had a great weekend. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the thumbs up. I missed what happened there. Oh, what happened to the little prepper lady? David M's asking. I'll answer that really quickly before I jump off here. She's in school full time. She stopped doing her channel pretty much altogether. Her son has made a couple videos and put his videos on there, I guess. I don't know if she'll ever go back to doing the videos or not, but I know she is in college full time. So, last time I spoke with her was around Thanksgiving, and she was doing okay, just heavy load with school. And so, that's where her focus is at, which that's for her future. So it should be, so, but she's okay. So I just want to share that with you guys. All right, guys. Well, I hope everybody's doing well. I will talk to you all later. Have a great day. Prepper Nurse 1 out for now.